Okay, real talk. Look at your hands right now. Go on, really look at them. There's a really good chance that at least one of your fingernails is shorter than it should be. Or maybe they're all short. Or maybe your cuticles are torn and slightly bleeding. Or maybe you've bitten them so far down that they hurt to touch anything. And if that's you, if you're reading this and your immediate instinct is to hide your hands or feel a little bit of shame about them, then this video is absolutely for you. Here's what most people get wrong about nail biting. They think it's gross. They think it's a sign of poor hygiene or low self-control, or that you're just not disciplined enough to stop. But the psychological reality is almost completely different. What nail biting actually reveals about you is far more interesting, far more human, and honestly, far more treatable than you might think. Let's start with what's actually happening when you bite your nails. Because it's not random. It's not mindless, and it's definitely not something you're doing because you enjoy it or because you think it tastes good. Something in your nervous system is asking for something, and nail biting is the answer it's learned to give. There's a concept in psychology called a self-soothing behavior. It sounds simple, but it's actually profound. When you're stressed, when you're anxious, when your nervous system is running hot, your brain is constantly searching for ways to regulate itself back to calm. For some people, that's exercise. For some people, it's eating. For some people, it's picking at their skin or pulling their hair. And for a lot of people, maybe for you, it's biting your nails. The action itself provides multiple forms of relief at once. First, there's the sensory input. Your mouth is incredibly sensitive. It's packed with nerve endings. When you put your fingers in your mouth and bite down, you're giving your nervous system intense sensation. And sensation, counterintuitively, can be calming. It's like your brain is saying, okay, I'm overwhelmed by this emotional input, so I'm going to focus on this physical input instead. The bite, the texture, the small bit of pain even. These are all signals that your nervous system can process and organize in a way that anxious thoughts cannot. Second, there's the tactile stimulation of the biting and picking itself, the repetitive motion, the focus. There's something deeply soothing about repetition. It's why people rock babies. It's why people pace when they're anxious. It's why you tap your foot without thinking about it. Repetitive motion calms the nervous system. And nail biting is incredibly repetitive. Bite, assess, bite again. Move to the next nail, over and over. The rhythm itself is soothing. Third, there's the sense of control. When everything else in your life feels uncertain, work is chaotic, relationships are complicated, the world is overwhelming, your nails are something you can control. You can make them shorter. You can change them. You can do something. And that sense of agency, even if it's destructive, is deeply satisfying to the anxious brain. Now here's where it gets really interesting, because nail biting is what psychologists call a body-focused repetitive behavior, or BFRB. And there's actually a spectrum. On one end, you have occasional nail biting when you're stressed. On the other end, you have what's called onychophagia, compulsive nail biting that causes actual tissue damage, bleeding, infection, and significant distress. Most people fall somewhere in the middle. The key thing to understand is that the more you bite, the more your nervous system learns that biting is the solution to anxiety, and the more automatic it becomes. You'll start biting without even noticing you're doing it. You'll be in a meeting or watching TV or reading, and suddenly you'll look down and your fingers are bleeding. You didn't decide to bite them, your nervous system just defaulted to the familiar solution. This is called the anxiety behavior loop, and it works like this. You feel stressed or anxious. The anxiety is uncomfortable, so your nervous system reaches for the behavior it knows works, nail biting. You bite, there's immediate relief. The sensation, the repetition, the sense of control, all of it combines to calm you down. Your nervous system now has evidence that biting works. So the next time anxiety shows up, which it always does, your brain reaches for the same solution, bite again. The relief is real, but it's temporary, and the cycle perpetuates. But here's what makes this different from just a bad habit. Nail biting is often connected to perfectionism. People who bite their nails are frequently people who struggle with uncertainty, people who have high standards for themselves, people who feel things deeply.
There's research showing that nail biters often score higher on measures of anxiety, perfectionism, and harm avoidance. In other words, the people most likely to bite their nails are often the people who care the most about getting things right, who feel things intensely, who are trying very hard to manage an internal experience that's often overwhelming. So when you bite your nails, you're not weak, you're not gross, you're not disciplined. You're actually demonstrating something quite profound, that your nervous system is working exactly as it's designed to work. It's trying to help you. It's just using a tool that's destructive. The question then becomes not how do I force myself to stop, but how do I give my nervous system a different tool that does the same job? Something that provides sensation, something that's repetitive, something that gives a sense of control, but something that doesn't hurt you. For some people, that's a stress ball. For some people, it's fidget toys. For some people, it's chewing gum or chewing on something safe. For some people, it's holding ice cubes in their hands. The sensation is intense and grounding without being destructive. For some people, it's even just putting their hands in their pockets or sitting on their hands so the temptation isn't as available.
There's also something powerful about understanding the anxiety underneath, because nail biting is never really about the nails. It's about what's happening in your nervous system when you bite them. So noticing becomes crucial. Not judgment, just noticing. When do you bite? What are you feeling right before? Are you in a meeting? Are you waiting for news? Are you thinking about something you said last week? Are you feeling out of control about something? The more you can connect the behavior to the underlying anxiety, the more you can work with the anxiety directly instead of just trying to white-knuckle your way through not biting. And that's where real change happens. There's also a gentle layer of self-compassion here that matters. The shame around nail biting is real. People hide their hands. They feel embarrassed. They judge themselves harshly. And that shame actually perpetuates the cycle, because shame creates more anxiety, and more anxiety creates more nail biting. So the invitation is to notice without judgment, to understand that your nervous system is doing what it thinks it needs to do to keep you safe. It's just learned an unfortunate tool. And maybe that's the real insight here. Nail biting isn't a character flaw. It's a nervous system that's working overtime and hasn't yet learned a better way to regulate itself. And the good news is that nervous systems can learn. Behavior can change, not through force or shame or willpower, but through understanding, through offering alternatives, through patience with yourself. Next time you notice yourself reaching for your nails, try this. Pause for just a second. Notice the urge without acting on it. Feel what you're feeling underneath. Is it stress, uncertainty, a need for control? Then offer your nervous system something else. Ice, a stress ball, your hands in your pockets, something that says, I hear you. I see that you need regulation, and here's a different way we can do this. And every time you choose the alternative, you're quietly retraining your nervous system. You're teaching it that there's another solution, that you don't have to hurt yourself to feel calm, that you can be gentle with yourself and still get what you need. If you recognized yourself in this video, drop a comment below. What do you do instead of biting? What helps you? And if you want more psychology of the small, strange, surprisingly meaningful things we all do, subscribe. That is exactly what this channel is here for.